Today's lecture, we're gonna talk about types of paragraph. As in our previous lecture, we talked about what paragraph is, and we also talked about its structure. Now we're moving to its types. So we have basically four types, and why do we have these types? It is because of the different purposes that serve. So based on that, based on the function, based on the purpose they serve, we categorize them into different types. So the first one is descriptive paragraph, then we have narrative paragraph, after that we have persuasive paragraph, and then we have expository paragraph. What are they? Let's find out. The first one, narrative paragraph, a paragraph that tells a story. This type of paragraph tells a story or relays an event in the sequence it occurred. This type of paragraph involves a single experience or presenting a series of events that tell a story. Many short stories, novels, films, etc. are written in the form of a narration. A new narrative paragraph begins where there is a change in time, place, activity, or speaker. So we have we listen to, we watch movies or dramas, so they are in sequence, and that sequence is normally based on cause and effect. So it's some sort of a narrative, or in simple words, it's a story. So let me put it this way, that narrative paragraphs are actually paragraphs where events are stated in story form. Okay, so how would you do that? Let's move. Okay, let me give you first an example of it. There is a sample. Last time I saw a rainbow occurred when I was on vacation. It had been very hot all day, and in the late afternoon as severe storm hit our area. After a steady stream of rain poured out the sky, the sun came out. The next thing I saw in the sky was a beautiful rainbow. It reminded me how marvelous nature's beauty really is, and made me think of fairy tales I remember as a child. I wonder if anyone has ever found a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. Rainbows are truly astounding, but finding gold would be glorious. Okay, so a bit of comment on narration. They are normally chronological, though sometimes uses flashbacks. So what are they? First, we need to understand the requirements for a narrative. So the first thing that we need is what we call a plot. Okay, so what a plot is, let's find out here. So here is an outline for that. Okay, and it help you so much in understanding this thing what we call Freytag's pyramid. Here are different parts of a plot are given, and there is one thing more I would like to add here is this difference between story and plot. Stories normally are only jumbled events. It can be anything. If I say I went to bazaar, if I went to bazaar, and people call it market, I went there, bought something, ate it, and I normally take bath in the morning. Okay, so there is no logical sequence in it, but a plot is something that is actually structured through cause and effect. So whatever happens is certainly followed by something else, which is the result of that happening or that occurrence. So if you look at this, the first thing that we have in Freytag's pyramid is what we call exposition. This is the place where you introduce. Normally, if you apply this on movies or something, so you would see that exposition is that part. It is the opening scene where the characters are introduced, and through this is the place where the readers or the audience, the viewers, they get to know who is who and what is what. After this we have rising action. This is the place where things or the hero, or what we call the protagonist, we would talk about characters later, you would know it. He gets to know himself or the problem that he's faced with. Okay, so from here the tension actually arises, and then comes the climax. This is the place where things become quite clear what the person wants, what the hero or the protagonist wants, or who he is fighting. And after that we have falling action. This is the place where things are getting closer to solving, and at the end it comes denouement, or what we call resolution. This is the place where we get the final ending, the final sorting out of things. So this is how it works. If you look at this, all these things are actually cause and effect. Cause and effect, something happens, and in response to that another thing happens, and then this is the chain. This is how it works. So I hope it's clear. So this is one of the requirements for narrative, what we call narrative. So this requirement is called a plot. We should have a plot there, and it should be things should be chronologically connected. By chronologically connection we mean to say that there should be a time sequence. Like if you start talking about 1919, so you should go on, move on, okay, to 1920 and 21, and this way. It shouldn't be like you start talking about 1920 and then you jump to 1885 and then you move to 2022 and some sort of, so you shouldn't do that. Okay, another point that it's mentioned here is sometime it uses flashback. So this is normally a trick or a technique that some of the writers apply. It's like you must avoid movies where the writer, you see it starts with a guy who's killing each and every person, and you have no idea why is he doing that. But after he's done with killing some people, he goes home and sleeps, and there he dreams of something horrific, something terrible happening to some guys, or killing some kids and a lady, and later you get to know that it was actually his wife that was murdered, and he is actually now trying to revenge that. That's what we call flashbacks. Okay, after this we have sequential representing of events that add up to a story. We talked about it, okay, that you have to give it a unity, and that is through either through time or through importance of things. You give it a sequence, okay, and that's how you develop your story that is moving forward. After this we have a narrative differs from a mere listening of events. Yes, that's what I told you a while ago, that it's not only a story, because that is just a jumbled form of events. Here there must be cause and effect. Narration usually contains characters, okay, a setting, okay, a conflict, and a resolution. So this is we discussed there in the plot. Characters, definitely, if you're writing about something, so there must be characters, there must be people. Okay, after that we have, like we have in characters we have protagonist and antagonist, what we call in simple words, though it's that's a bit of, there is difference, but yeah, I'd go with it, what we call the hero and the villain. Okay, then we have a setting. Setting actually is the place, where that event takes place. So definitely if you're talking about some event, so it must have occurred somewhere. Like if I give you example of the movie Predator, so its setting is jungle. Okay, some of the movies are set in seas, some are in sky, okay, in space, yeah, some are in a simple village. That's what we call the setting of that work. After that we have a conflict. We talked about it, the rising conflict, okay, the tension, that is, and a resolution, how that's been solved, how that's been sorted out. Time and place and person are normally established. Okay, yes, we talked about this as well, that how would you do that. Like you must have, place, time, and persons. They're normally, they're known, you give them, you give this information to the people, where it happened, how it happened, and who did that. In this paragraph the story components are a protagonist, as we said, the hero, a setting, there is difference between protagonist and hero, a setting where the park, goal, to camp, yes, that's the Purpose, an obstacle, nature, straining, and you cannot do that. Climax, Hispanic, okay, started panicking like it's raining and you had planned to go for पिकनिक बट इट्स रेनिंग, ठीक है, आपने सोचा था कि हम तो जाएंगे एंजॉय करेंगे, लेकिन अब वहाँ पे अब नेचर्स क्रूअल, बारिश हो रही है एंड यू कैन नॉट डू दैट. एंड अ रेजोल्यूशन, लीविंग, नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंटली ऐसे भी हो सकता है कि बारिश रुक जाए और आप अपना पिकनिक भी एंजॉय करें. ओके, another thing is specific details always help a story, but so does interpretive language. Yeah, you don't just lay the words on the page, you point them in the direction of a story. We talked about this as well, that we will talk about it a bit later, that whatever you write there, your words, your sentences, your everything that you add to must help you achieve your goal, must help you develop that story. There shouldn't be things that are superfluous of having no meaning, but only redundant stuff. Okay, I hope it's clear. Sorry.